It's going down. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of It's Going Down, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. U.S. Fed too late in bid to contain inflation after years of printing money, investor says. And what we're seeing here is a huge spike in prices. And typically what goes on during an inflation is what? Prices start to go up. Now, prices are not going to just jump from $1 all the way up to $10. No, inflation is going to rise slowly. You're going to see a slow rise in prices. At first, it might start off as an increase of 25 cents. Some people might see that and be like, nah, okay, that ain't bad. You know, it's just 25 cents more. But then what happens when it goes from 25 cents up to 75 cents? And then from 75 cents up to $1. And what we're seeing here is a inflation that has been slowly rising really since the year 2012, maybe even before that. Because for the longest, the United States has been printing money from thin air, printing money just to fund this, just to fund that, in order to fund the military, in order to fund certain facilities. And all this printing money from thin air has led to an increase in prices everywhere. Back in the year 2001, gas prices used to be either a little over $2 and some change, like maybe $2.25 per gallon, or gas in some areas used to be $1.87. Maybe even $1.60 if you got lucky on a lucky day. But what we're seeing right here is quite an increase in prices. The standard is $4.87 right here, and that's per gallon. $4.87 per gallon on gas. Now imagine that. You got a car. You need that car in order to go to work. So out of your check, 15% of your funds have to go towards gas. That's 15% of your check going, and that's not per week. If you multiply 15% times 2, you get 30%. Imagine that. You have to pay for gas in your vehicle 2 times per week. That's 30% of your funds from your check going towards gas. And this inflation has slowly crept up on people. Washington Sputnik, the U.S. Federal Reserve's attempt to contain unprecedented inflation fueled by its own money, and we've been saying this for a long time now, starting with the apostles of Great Millstone. This dollar is going to be crashed systematically, and we know why. It's because of the CHIP. They want to implement the CHIP, which is the charagma. Okay? It says, printing policy has come at least 6 months too late. And they're purposely printing this money because they want this damn dollar to crash. It says the U.S. Federal Reserve's attempt to contain unprecedented inflation. And inflation is not just happening in food prices. It's not just happening in gas prices. It's happening in merchandise in general. A box of shoes nowadays is damn near over $100. The U.S. Federal Reserve's attempt to contain unprecedented inflation fueled by its own money printing policy has come at least 6 months too late, Navigator principal investors directly Kyle Shostak told Sputnik. Earlier on Wednesday, the Federal Reserve announced that it would be appropriate to raise U.S. interest rates soon due to inflation overshooting the central bank's target of 2% per annum. The inflation crisis has made U.S. President Biden noticeably frustrated, as evidenced on Monday when he referred to a Fox News reporter as a son of a bee for raising the subject. It's a little bit late at this stage to shift gears, as they should have done. A half a year ago, Shostak said, the U.S. unprecedented inflation, now at a 40-year high, he said, has an ugly child of the Fed's own money printing policy. Now the Fed is on a crusade to contain the rise of the monster it had created, but it's too late, he said. The genie is out of the bottle. He also said now the United States is facing the risk of growth shock with far-reaching consequences not only for the U.S. economy but also for the entire world. And this is what's happening in the news nowadays. Salaki, I was looking this up for something else. Let's go back here to the Blue Letter Bible, or the King James Bible. Let's get that 9 later. See, everything that's happening here is prophecy. And the reason why the Lord is doing this is because the Lord is taking vengeance on this place, especially for what the nation of Edom did to the Israelites during the time of slavery over here in America. So the Lord is taking vengeance on the nation of Edom. Isaiah 47 verse 1, come down and sit in the dust, old virgin daughter of Babylon. Modern day Babylon today is America, which is predominantly being ruled by the nation of Edom. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. No throne represents no rulership, for a throne is a representation of rulership. When your country has a throne, that means there is a monarch that is sitting upon that throne, ruling over the country. Without a throne, there is no monarch. Okay? And when there's no monarch, there's anarchy. You see, this country's been ran based on anarchy the whole time. A president cannot really be counted as a king, especially when he's being controlled and told what to do by his higher-ups, which will be the Illuminati, who is also controlled by the so-called elites. So these presidents are no more than puppets. This country is getting ready to enter into a pro-anarchy state. The throne for this kingdom is being taken away from it. Ultimately, the so-called kings of this earth are the so-called elites. And they don't just have control over one country. They have control over many countries. And that control is done by their banking systems. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. You want to know when America was called tender and delicate? When gas was under $1. Yeah, remember that? Well, when gas used to be under $1 per gallon. Remember when you used to buy a Debbie snack from the corner store and they used to be 15 cents? They used to be 10 cents? Now the average price for a Debbie snack is 50 cents. You can only buy 2 of them shits for $1. And they don't even last you long. Remember when a loaf of bread used to be 30 cents? 35 cents? Now they're easily over $1, reaching a dollar and a half, which will be $1.50. A gallon of milk used to be a little over $1. Now it's $4 and some change, making it almost $5 for 1 gallon of milk. And the milk is not even worth drinking. It's been defiled because of what the farmers are doing to the animals. So this country is no longer being called tender and delicate. When this country was called tender and delicate, which will be around the late 17th century into the early 18th century into the late 18th century, which was the sweet, the golden age of this country, when this country was called delicate, you could buy a month's worth of groceries with a $10 bill. Even with a $5 bill, you could buy 2 weeks worth of groceries that would last you a half a month. Remember when people used to drive by in your neighborhoods? They used to work for the milk factory and they used to drop off a glass of milk by your house. You know, when I was a child, I remember my stepfather used to drive through the neighborhoods and he would take the newspapers and he would toss them out the window into people's yards. Because people didn't have a local mailman. But when these corporate mail stations came about, what happened? There was no use for those kind of jobs no more, like what my stepfather had. So this country is falling, man. Why? Because the Lord is bringing judgment upon it. With that, I'm going to say, Shalom is on to the next one.